Nate Rosen, welcome to the recap. I feel like everybody who's listening to this should know who you are, but for anybody who doesn't, give us the Nate Rosen 1-2 punch.
So I'm Nate. I write a weekly newsletter called Express Checkout, covering the world of commerce through the lens of CPG. I've been in the space for a couple of years at a brand, at a fintech, at an ad agency, been all over, seen a lot, know a lot of people, know a lot about the space, I think, and try a lot of snacks. I'll be humble.
You do try a lot of snacks. You get a lot of snacks sent to you.
I got some pockets, chocolates, mango yuzu covered almonds right next to me.
You have my favorite fanny pack, which is already like a little niche of a product, but you have my favorite swag item ever. Your Snacks Boy one is
the
my
Bagoo
favorite
one from Foxtrot that says Seeking Snacks.
Seeking Snacks, yes. How do you explain what you do to people? Are you like, yeah, I just try snacks.
So
and tell people why they're good and everybody trusts me.
That's better than what I usually go for. So I go for two things. I usually say I'm in startups and maybe say food and bev in there, but I usually just leave it at startups. And if they ask more, they ask more. If they don't, that's fine. Or I say I'm in CPG and then have to explain what that is because no one knows what that is, which is very fair because it's industry speak. And I usually say, your grocery store? I work in that.
That's it. Yeah. I know those things. I know the things that you might buy at the grocery store. I remember I was like I'm still working in CPG, but when I really went like focus of CPG, I had to ask some people in the industry. I'm pretty sure I asked you too, like, how do you describe this to your mom or your dad? Because when I was working at Shopify, my dad truly thought I was like WD-40ing shopping carts. He was like, oh, the ones that squeak at Target. And I was like, yeah, that's me.
It's easier to say yes most of the time.
I know. I do shopping for a living. I don't know what that means, but that's what I do.
It all feels made up.
So, Nate, I know I've told you this, but I want to make sure the listeners really know the full scope of how impactful you are to this show. I'm basically just repurposing your newsletter when I do this show. Anytime we talk about news, there are so many ways that you can find like news in the e-commerce industry. And there's the Twitter news, there's LinkedIn news, there's drama here, drama there. But you are the absolute best curator of what is actually going on in this industry that people working in the industry should care about. And I think that's a very specific differentiation I want to make. There's a lot of newsletters that are really good if you care about the space, really good to follow, but not always like the thing that the actual operators really want to know. If anything, they're like, don't tell me anything else. I have too much information coming at me. Your newsletter, though, is so perfectly curated to, if you're in e-commerce, here's the news. If you're in retail, here's the news. If you're in VC, here's the news. And here's the top thing to think about if you're in the general industry.
Yeah.
And the reason that I last minute brought you on, even though I text you every week going, how's the news this week? Even though we do that this week, very interesting news story because Prime Day happened very recently. And you got to talk to some really cool people. I feel like first, before I like just jump right in, because I just said so many things, tell us about Express Checkout, your newsletter that I pull from to ever tell anybody the top news. What do you do with Express Checkout? And then we'll go into Prime Day after that.
Yeah, so I think you honestly described Express Checkout very well. Weekly curation of all things commerce. I've determined is a great way to sort of bucket everything together. It's commerce. Maybe I ripped it from Future Commerce, who knows? But Phil has taught me a lot. But commerce, I think, is a great way to describe all of this. And the goal with this is always just to be really informative. When I got started in this CPG world, I was pretty uninformed and sought out various news sources and publications and individuals to just help me stay abreast of everything that's happening across the space. And I was like, I want to learn what's directly in front of me, but also like all this adjacent news and things across the world in general. And like, you look, it's an ecosystem. It's really important to understand what's going on in the supply chain space, but also in the funding space and the e-com space, because it all affects everything at the end of the day. There's very few things that like don't trickle in to other aspects of your business, of how we operate. So I think it's important that it's sort of like all built in together. The goal with this was I just felt like I was seeing a lot that wasn't getting talked about. Maybe some people were talking about behind closed doors, but based off of my 33 issues that I put out and people messaging me, I don't think a lot of people were noticing this stuff at all. So yeah. I think I've been able to sort of unearth some interesting stuff that's happened and put it in front of a lot of key people.
Yes. I feel like for the people who are listening, who are like working at a brand, who are within a brand, and maybe their life is not like our lives somehow ended up 90% on Twitter. Yeah, grossly online. That's a t-shirt right there. Grossly online.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you need to make an express checkout t-shirt that just says grossly online.
I really do. I want to make some merch.
But there are some people that just like, they're having to operate all day, every day. They don't have time to even think about it, but it's so wildly beneficial to look at not totally opposite industries, but industries that like touch your industry or pieces of the supply chain. It's very adjacent to what you're doing. And you just perfectly curate it for everybody. But this week you did something very exciting and you had your regular curated newsletter. And then today we all just got today as in Wednesday. So today as in Friday when you're listening, it is out. It is live. It is linked in the show notes for sure. Prime Day 2023. I'm not going to lie. I have been inundated in D2C for 6-7 years. And the acronyms in D2C, I mean, D2C is quite literally an acronym. All of it has become almost second nature to me. But what's crazy is Amazon is almost this entirely different kind of like box within the e-commerce world.
Yeah.
That as I was reading through your newsletter, I realized I'm Googling so many acronyms. There's so much that I don't know. There's so much that's different from the traditional e-commerce. So I think let's start at like, give us the lowdown on Prime Day, what it is, and why brands that are traditionally, quote unquote, direct to consumer have become very into Amazon and especially Prime Day. Because I remember like 5 years ago, we were all going, absolutely fuck Amazon, don't touch it. And now we're going, you better fucking touch Amazon and get to know it really well and win on it. So I'm curious your background on Prime Day this year.
Yeah. So this year was a massive success for Prime Day, according to Adobe Analytics. Total spending across both days reached close to $13 billion, where $8 billion was expected.
Wait, hold on. Okay, we got to pause.
Yeah.
$8 billion was expected?
Yeah, which is still crazy.
13 billion processed.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, let's leave that simple arithmetic there for the audience to do.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And in that article that I wrote up, I have links to this. I also have links to Numerator, which is an insights platform. They shared some Prime Day insights as well. It's worth taking a look and seeing all that data around this massive shopping event.
Oh, yeah. If you like data, like we're going to talk about kind of the stories of Amazon Prime today, but if you really like the numbers and the data, again, in the show notes, go read Nate's article and he links out to even more data. We're like, you just want to look at numbers, have a go at it. It's so fun.
Go for it. Hell yeah. But yeah, so Prime Day has become basically our new or another Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas shopping, the whole 9 yards. It's a massive shopping event that's like another one of those massive shopping events that has a lot of, pun intended, primed and ready customers.
Yeah.
Both on Prime and off Amazon as well. So a lot of retailers had Prime Day sales a day or two before the event and a day or two after the event, and saw a lot of success.
I love how every these sales events that happen in commerce started as Black Friday and then became like Thursday night, Wednesday night, Tuesday night, Monday, the week before.
More excuses to purchase.
More excuses to purchase. And now we're doing the same thing with Prime Day. Like, it really is the first company that's ever been able to own another piece of the calendar in a way that like Black Friday, Cyber Monday normally does, or the Super Bowl does, or NFL does in general. They own a certain amount of time, and all of us are just going and shopping just because. And it's not Prime Days, it's like Prime week and a half.
But it makes sense because there's 175 million Prime members. It's about 66% of the US population.
Oh my God.
No wonder it's a day or two. It should be. It's a national holiday. We should have off from work just so we can go and shop.
We honestly should. We should not have to work on Prime Day because we're all shopping anyways.
Every Prime Day, the government should give us $1,000. Have at it. Stimulate the economy.
I want the stipend. Stimulate the economy.
Give us a stimulus package every Prime Day.
Every Prime Day. Come on. We're over Black Friday. We want Prime Day. That's what we want.
Honestly, I think brands would lobby the shit out of that. One, it'd be fun because I would get stuff that I would never think of getting on Prime Day. I get another Dyson, even though I have one. That's fine. Just to have one in 2 rooms.
Yeah. Or you could buy a Dyson and send it to me, and then I can send you mine when it runs out of battery. You can refurbish it, and then we could just,
perfect,
circulate the Dysons.
Exactly.
Okay, so you talked to 2 massive brands in the space who are both like very big in size and in success and knowing who they are, but also wildly different in their execution of running a business, selling products, totally different kind of products. Tell us about the 2 brands that you talked to, and then we'll go into some details about what happened on Prime Day.
Sure. So I had the pleasure of speaking to Hexclad, which, as I described in my newsletter, is basically next generation of pots and pans. So I talked to Hexclad. I had the pleasure of speaking with Jason Panzer, who's the president of Hexclad. And then I also spoke with Dude Wipes, and I chatted with Joey, who's the senior director of ecom over there.
We love it. Okay, let's talk about, because what's interesting is these are 2 very successful brands who sell omni-channel, and omni-channel has been like the #1 topic this year. Per usual, omni-channel it's just depending on what omni is working this year. But Hexclad and Dude Wipes, totally different products, totally different operations on omni-channel, where, I found Dude Wipes in King Soopers in Colorado, which is a Kroger-owned grocery chain. So Dude Wipes is kind of everywhere. Yeah. And D2C might not even be their biggest move, whereas Hexclad, you're probably not finding Hexclad in like an Albertsons kind of situation. No. It's not something you need to buy every Sunday that you go to the grocery store. I might have just given too much information about my bowel movement behavior by saying every Sunday, but it's fine. Tell me what the biggest difference was when you talk to these two people from 2 different brands. How did they approach Prime Day, and what was the major difference that you saw in the 2 approaches?
That's a good question. Overall, it seemed like, they approached in very similar ways. Obviously, they have different price points. They're trying to attack 2 different types of consumer. But at the end of the day, like, you're playing Amazon's game, and there's only a couple of ways to really play it. I think, a big difference is like with Hexclad, the consumer, they might have been thinking about it for a while. Like the person who got that SMS, that email, that paid ad about Hexclad on Prime Day, whether they're pushing to their hexclad.com or their Amazon page, that consumer was thinking about making this purchase at some point. And even if they only discounted it 10 to 20%, which is like, that's the max they discounted it, this is when they bought. This is the only time they're going to buy it during the year, when they feel like they're getting a deal, when they feel like, okay, this is the right time. Like,
I hate to say it, but when they feel primed to buy with the perfect timing of a discount.
Yeah. Even if it's a small discount, and it's even potentially a discount that like you could probably find during the year. There's many other retailers who like say this is the biggest event of the year, and then like some random Tuesday, you're like, why are you offering 80% off
Yes.
full priced items? Like, you're doing
Yeah.
fine. This is weird.
Right.
Overall, it seemed like they had a pretty similar strategy. Both were dealing with bundles and virtual bundles as well. That was one of the interesting things that I didn't really know about Amazon, is that you can set up these virtual bundles where at the warehouse, they'll just, on the front end, on the consumer end, it looks like you're buying a cap for a 10-inch pan, a wok, and a 12-inch pan. But in the back end, it's just like in a warehouse and they put it all in a box together there, which I think was really interesting. And like with the product assortment that HexClad has, it's a little bit more varied than Dude Wipes. Dude Wipes, obviously, they have unscented, mint, a shea butter one, a body one. I guess they have a bunch, but for some reason it feels less than HexClad, even though probably is more.
Dude Wipes is generally around the same experience with the product, which is wiping your butt with the product.
Right.
Or moisturizing your butt
minty,
with the product.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe you want a minty butthole. Maybe you want a shea butter butthole. Really, it does feel like a similar product, but
yeah.
What's interesting, you saying like bundles were a big thing across both. It sounds to me like retention was also a focus on Prime Day this year, which maybe is new. I think I've been saying like retain customers who get on sales days like Prime Day or Black Friday, Cyber Monday for years now. Now we're actually seeing it in action.
Yeah.
And I think the number one way we're seeing it is in the site of retention nobody talks about, which is the product retention. So if we can sell you across 3 different categories, or even like Dude Wipes, three different flavors for your butthole, I guess.
Yeah, flavors.
I'm so excited for my editor to deal with this edit right now. Just 3 flavors across the butthole. Maybe we'll make that the title. But it is interesting that it's like, it seems like it went from buy the hero product on sales days and we'll cross-sell you post-purchase to, I don't know, is it that we're trying to take advantage of these, like, people have their wallets out, they're ready to spend money, they want to spend money, so let's get them cross-category as quick as possible? Is that what you're kind of seeing?
Yeah, and also I think something that Joey said that was really interesting, he's like, Prime Day is about eyeballs, not discounts. And
ooh,
I think it's a great quote. I also think like Jason was alluding to that as well. And this is true just for Amazon. Honestly, in general, you have 175 million Prime subscribers. There's more people who also shop on Amazon. That is where people are. That is where eyeballs already are. And especially on Prime Day, where people are browsing, they're looking at lightning deals, like they're seeing what's out there. They're probably exploring for longer on site. I would love to see stats on like, how long are people staying on site on Prime Day versus any other day?
Yeah.
And it's probably longer, because like I just went through pages of products and I was like, I don't need any of this stuff. Like I know what I need. It's on my fridge.
I kind of want to buy it all because it maybe is on sale now. It seems like Amazon, I think we've always said this in the industry, Amazon is for buying. Other sites have often been for shopping, which are 2 totally different experiences from a consumer standpoint. And Amazon's weakness has been that they're not great for shopping. Like, if you just go on like traditional user experience, customer experience, Amazon does everything wrong.
Right.
But all of a sudden, all of us are now literally shopping on Amazon. I was browsing like recommended for you and I didn't need any of it, but I bought half of it.
Yeah. And I've noticed just like, I moved recently, so I've been on Amazon a lot, buying bits and bobs for the apartment. And I've noticed a change in both the app. They've redone the app. They moved where search is. Just that UX is like completely different, but it's becoming slightly more optimized for at least them showing you things like, hey, pick up where you last were searching. Here's some recommended things. Like I've noticed they're doing a lot of the live shopping now. They're bringing that into the fold. They're doing a lot to help you, to your point, in your differentiation, to help you shop on Amazon rather than just buy. Yes. Yeah.
And it's like there's discovery happening on Amazon, which I don't think used to happen. I never found new brands on Amazon. It would be Amazon was somebody, I would see a brand advertised to me on Instagram, maybe didn't want to swipe up for whatever reason, or did, but didn't buy. And then Amazon became like, maybe I can try it through Amazon. It almost became like a conversion platform.
Yeah.
Where now I feel like it's going back towards, it is also a discovery platform for a lot of consumers, which is interesting.
Right.
How did you, with, both these brands that you talked to, how did you see them thinking about, can we get new people to find us during this day where the traffic is high, people are ready to buy, they've got their wallets out, they're ready to go? Was this purely a retention play, or was it also an acquisition play for these brands?
It was both. It was definitely like new to brand, sort of trial on Prime Day. Maybe they see it and they're like, oh, I've heard of this. This has a lot of reviews. This is a good discount. I'll try it. I think it's definitely true for Hexclad, where it's a higher priced item. Those items usually take a lot longer to decide if you're going to purchase. But like we've been saying this whole episode, people are primed to buy. They're going to make that decision. They're like, all right, screw it. I'll buy this right now. Let me try it.
Give it a whirl,
come in
girl.
a day. Yeah. And then with lightning deals and with all the paid acquisition that was being done by both these brands leading up to Prime Day and telling people and pointing people, hey, we're going to be doing something on Amazon. Go there on the 11th and the 12th. Between these times, we'll be there. We'll be offering some discount. Like, we're going to sell it fast. Like, come on through. So I definitely think it's a mix of like a retention play, at least for Dude Wipes. I would say for Hexclad, it's either like, oh, okay, I'll finish out my set, or okay, I'm going to start building on my Hexclad set. This is a great time to do it because there's a discount and people are ready to buy.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's trust. And I think where the distrust comes from buying from an owned e-commerce website, a D2C website, is often in the shipping and the processing and all of that. And I can see the Amazon warehouse from my house. Yeah. I can see the new build that is happening. I have trust in that shipping.
Right.
And as much as like I'm inundated in the D2C world and I want to buy from D2C as much as possible. But when you're talking, I might be able to get it same day, maybe tomorrow, maybe in 2 days, versus I'm going to have to pay $25 to get it in 5 days. It becomes a situation for consumers, which I think has changed for D2C brands because Amazon's done a lot to help these brands. One quote that I have highlighted from your interviews, again, on the article that is linked, I loved this so much from Joey at Dude Wipes, where he is talking about not just the new customers that you're going to get and not just the customers you're going to resell to in this time, but what happens after all of this and how to make Prime Day essentially a day that sets you up for more success in the future. And there's a quote that he said, for Dude, Prime Day is an important lever in getting in front of new customers and increasing our flywheel for a beautiful post-Prime halo.
Yeah.
Post-Prime halo. And he says this a couple times. The halo effect. Like, I often call it the snowball effect or the avalanche effect because I live in Colorado. I understand how snow works down a mountain that you don't want to get caught in. No, but I love this so much. Tell us a little bit about what this like Prime halo thing is, because Prime is more than, very much so, like Black Friday, Cyber Monday is more than a weekend. It sets you up for long-term success if you do it right. Can you like give us a little insight on what he means by a beautiful post-Prime halo?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things he's talking about is also like this is also like a way to build out your funnel. You're getting and seeing people coming to your brand, interested in your brand, searching your brand. Like, it builds up this adjacent experience for the customer where they go to your site to learn more, they Google you, they go to YouTube to search reviews. Like, you're building up heavy brand awareness just by having eyeballs on site. Like, Prime Day, you're getting those 100, let's say you're getting 175 million people. Just let's say you're getting all those people up over those 2 days. People are looking at you. People will remember that. They might save it. They will buy it. Maybe they'll buy it again. Like, you're building up additional brand awareness. Basically, just like it's like a billboard. It's like dating.
Honestly, neither one of us are single. We're both happily married with like incredible people who don't work in this little weird industry that we live in,
smart.
which is so fun. Good for them. they have all these other things to do. But what is interesting is thinking about dating and the fact, like, imagine 175,000 people coming and looking at your dating profile, or just you on stage. Like, here's the thing that I offer. Really, ideally, is not just to get the dates that night. It's to get a long-term partner. It's to find the one, to find the person you're going to be with forever. So it's an opportunity to present yourself in a life that will keep people coming back and interested in what you have to offer, regardless if they buy or not. And I think that is something that most likely a lot of brands miss out on. And there's so much advice around pricing and discounting and how you show up. But something that I saw that is almost in this interview, like almost a little bit undercover, is the little things. It's the PDP. It's, do we have the right content? Do we have the right headline? Do we have the right imaging? Are we creating, even if they buy or don't buy, a presence that makes them want to return?
Right.
The second that box hits their door. And I think that's like a very tricky little piece of this all, which is figure out the hard stuff first. But then when you're launching, make sure that like it all matches an experience where they want to go on date number 2. They want to go on date number 3. When you ask them if they want to be married to you, they say yes without calling their girlfriends or boyfriends and asking like, are we sure this guy's good? Are we sure this girl's good? Like, we're ready to go. We're ready to jump into a longer term relationship. I'm excited to see some stats on the post Prime Day retention, but I'm not going to lie. I do think that there's a pretty big opportunity for it, because I have done lots of, I'm going to try it out on Amazon Prime because it's going to come as fast as possible. And then I'm going to order it from the D2C site after that, because I know I want it every 30 days, et cetera, et cetera. It's a very, I don't know, it's an interesting day for e-commerce brands.
Fascinating. It's really fascinating. It's just unbridled shopping.
Unbridled shopping. That's the title of the episode.
It's good because, like, with Black Friday, Cyber Monday, like, okay, we're around the holidays, like, it's gift, like, there's more thought, I think, that goes into it a little bit. Like, you're doing big purchases, but Amazon, it's like, sure, you can get a vacuum or something that's a little bit bigger, and like maybe you will finally get that purchase, similar to the HexClad. But there's a lot of like weird, nothing products that are on sale that probably drove a lot of what was being sold. Granted, I think one thing that does indicate like what was being sold was the buy now, pay later stats. Where
tell us about it.
So this is according to Adobe Analytics, that buy now, pay later made up 6.4% of online orders on the first day, so around 460 million in revenue, and about the same the second day. So, I mean, in total, almost $1 billion of that 12 was buy now, pay later.
Yeah.
So I think it's safe to assume that $1 billion was probably for higher ticket items like a vacuum. I hope not a HexClad. It's a high ticket item, but I don't know if I do buy now, pay later for $100. Maybe that's insensitive of me, but that feels like not great. I did it for my couch.
I'm paying off the couch you're looking at behind me. Couches. I've done buy now, pay later for a couple things. My Peloton, couches, big. I've even done it for like big bundle purchases where I go, and this is maybe where like HexClad buy now, pay later makes sense. If I knew that all of my pans were trash, I luckily got married within the last 5 years, so I got a whole set of pans.
I got a bunch of HexClad stuff.
Oh, we love it. Thanks, HexClad. I got lots of Our Place stuff. Like I got a wedding gift from Our Place that it's a knife that's my favorite knife, and it has my name engraved into it. It was amazing. But if I had nothing and I wasn't getting married and I didn't have that situation, Amazon Prime Day would be a really good opportunity to go, I'm going to buy 8 pans and 4 pots and all my plates and all the things. And if I have to put it on buy now, pay later, I would, because I also trust the system, which I think is a very important piece of trusting the system. I have buy now, pay later on my couch, my Peloton, and my mattress because I try to work out. I love to sit and I love to sleep. So it makes sense that I've invested in these things.
Oh my God.
I wish that everybody could see the like visual that Nate just
pain.
Yeah, it was like a fingertips to the forehead. You know, Nate, you're constantly like you're actually very in tune with the constant news. You're watching these brands, you're talking to them one-on-one. What do you think that Prime Day this year did for e-commerce? And do you think it made an impact this year that it maybe didn't in years before?
I think so. I think one thing that helped, so one thing I noticed when I was shopping just as a consumer and keeping an eye out was they had a whole tag for small businesses. Granted, some of those small businesses, they use that word a little loosely, but overall over the past year, Amazon has been encouraging newer brands. And a lot of newer brands have been going to Amazon. Sanzo has been doing really well on Amazon, Couplets on Amazon, Tenzo Tea, Perfy, you name it, there's a lot on there. And I hope and I think based off what I saw that hopefully this was for the brands who aren't on Amazon, they see this and be like, this is probably a good channel that we should go to. And for the ones who were on it, I hope it really helped. I hope it helped in their rankings. I hope it helped in their review count. I hope it helped their reviews, their bottom line, their profitability.
Great point that Prime Day can be, if your sales don't blow completely off the top, you've also got a chance to just bump your listing really well.
Which gets discovered by an Amazon shopper who might be like, oh, well, I didn't know this was on here. This looks good. I'll save it for later. I'll buy some perfume later.
The save for later function of Amazon is fantastic. Except for that I share an Amazon account with my mom so she can see everything I look for. But Nate, thank you so much for coming on. I think it's so fun to just go through the last two episodes have been, we have lots of little news happening all the time, but 2 weeks ago we had Threads roll out from Instagram and this past week we had Amazon Prime happen. So I had to bring in people who knew the shit better than me, and you were the one who knows it all. So listeners, again, everything of Nate's will be linked in the show notes. Please go subscribe to his newsletter. It is the only newsletter I recommend to anybody in the space. If you need one, it is Express Checkout. And this entire interview, Nate, your interview goes into depth about the execution, and I really like that. And I know we talked a lot about kind of theories and applications, but in this article that Nate has published that is linked, he goes into very intense execution to the point where I've been in this space for 7 years and I had to look up some of the acronyms because it is so tactical with these operators. I appreciate you coming on last minute and talking to me.
Of course. Happy to.